Well, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has a new fixation with Canada, again posting on social media that this country, a G7 country, should become a 51st state. The CBC's Katie Simpson took those remarks to some Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill, and she joins us now. So, Katie, I'm very curious to see the reaction. I mean, what are you hearing in Washington about all of this?
Well, because Donald Trump has been saying this so frequently, we've had a number of sort of trips to Capitol Hill to get a sort of sense of what Donald Trump's allies think about this. And largely, we're hearing the same sort of thing where people are laughing off any suggestion. Let's just remind our viewers, this social media post went up at 3:23 in the morning, which I think is an interesting fact. Donald Trump mischaracterizes the trade deficit of Canada. He describes it as a subsidy. And then he goes on to make his comments about many people in Canada, he says, want to become the 51st state. It'd be great savings for Canada when it comes to taxes and military. And then his son later, a few hours later, around 7:30 in the morning, sort of added his voice. Eric Trump put on X, formerly known as Twitter, 51st state, #Canada. So it's something that is sort of, it's not an accident. He's not just, this is not just a random thing. He's doing it for a reason, clearly. So we went up to Capitol Hill, and today, by chance, there happened to be a meeting and a news conference of the Border Security Caucus. It's a group of Republican lawmakers. They're largely focused on the southern border, but they do have some beefs with the northern border. But the southern border in the United States is a very different situation than the northern border, and there is a very serious crisis at the U.S. southern border. But while at this news conference, among the many things I asked about, I did ask about, the Trump social media post and this Canada becoming a 51st state. Here's what we heard from Andy Biggs, who is a Trump ally, who is a Republican lawmaker from Arizona. Have a listen. Donald Trump keeps talking on social media about making Canada the 51st state. I'm curious as to anyone has any insight as to why or what you might think of that.
So humor is dead. I think to the second part of the question, I think Donald Trump is being humorous, okay?
So it's all just a big joke, David, and that's kind of what we heard from other lawmakers in past days. We heard from Josh Hawley, who was laughing. He's like, I don't know what's up with this. And so people are sort of brushing it off. I know that some people in Canada are putting their frustration with Trump's words on social media and feeling very insulted by what's going on. But as we know, this is the sort of tone Trump takes. Last week, we did a story about, why might Trump be doing this? And we featured it on your show. Talking to John Bolton, the former Donald Trump's former national security advisor. He's not a Trump ally now, but he knows how Trump thinks because he works with him. And he just chalked it up to, he said that he thinks Donald Trump is trying to humiliate Justin Trudeau and that he's just mean.
Yeah, he's destabilizing the political focus of the country in a pretty big way and keeps piling on when he can. So, this may be a joke. It's getting a lot of attention. But there could be something much, much bigger standing out in D.C., or there was in D.C. today.
Yes. So I work very closely with my wonderful colleague, Alex Panetta, and we both sort of, when we saw this news release, we thought there's something more to this. So it sort of gets to the point of what Donald Trump is looking for in his tariff threat. As everyone knows, Donald Trump has threatened to put 25% tariffs on both Canada and Mexico through an executive order first day in office unless he sees changes at both borders. He wants to see the stop of migrants crossing into the U.S., and he wants to see the stop of fentanyl or drugs entering the U.S. from both borders. Obviously, the situations at the northern border and the southern border are very, very different, but Donald Trump has lumped them together and sort of put this same problem both in Ottawa and in Mexico City. So it's obviously major problematic. With Canada's announcement yesterday that it's going to be preparing to spend $1.3 billion and make some changes possibly to laws and other sort of provisions to make sure that the northern border is safe, it got attention in the circles that Canada wants it to get attention in. Even though a lot of people are laughing at what's going on with the 51st state stuff, Trump's press team, the transition press team, put out a news release this afternoon declaring it a victory for Trump. The headline along the lines of, Donald Trump is making America safer and he's not even in office yet, pointing to those changes that are coming from Canada, that he can have wins before he even returns to the White House. We also saw his incoming White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. She made a similar post on social media, both on her Instagram and on her X formerly known as Twitter account, making the claim that, between the meeting at the post that Donald Trump put on social media about the tariff threat, the meeting at Mar-a-Lago, that Donald Trump has done more to secure the northern border than Joe Biden has done in 4 years. And she described it as incredible. So these are the kinds of things that Donald Trump wants to be able to point to suggest, look at all these wins I've been able to rack up. I'm not even in office yet. We did ask that same lawmaker, Andy Biggs, whether he thinks all of that's enough to spare Canada from tariffs. And he says, honestly, it's anyone's guess.
You're asking me to read the mind of President Trump, and I will say that I support him, and he's doing a masterful job. He's an incredible leader. Will what Canada's doing be enough to prevent tariffs being imposed upon Canada? I don't know. I don't know if you guys have any insight on that, but I simply don't know.
So they don't know. But the thing to really take away from this, the Trump team noticed, and that's what Canada wants.
That's interesting because there's a lot of criticism that Doug Ford and others are doing all the media in the U.S. Canada at the federal level isn't, but they're taking these steps, and that's getting some attention from the audience that really matters. So that's an interesting detail there. Katie, thank you so much. That's the CBC's Katie Simpson in Washington, D.C.